By the spring of 1883, 7 full years after the completion of the towers, and 14 years after work had first begun, the Brooklyn Bridge was nearly complete. It had taken 3 times longer and cost nearly twice as much as its designer, John Roebling, had estimated. More than 5,000 working men, Irish and German and Italian immigrants mainly, had toiled for as little as $2 a day to build it, stone by stone, wire after wire, foot by foot. Erecting the great towers had been impressive enough, but what came after was even more astonishing. 14,000 miles of wire rope had been spun back and forth across the river and draped over the towers in 4 giant cables. From them, an avenue wider than Broadway had been suspended across a span nearly 1/3 of a mile long. From below, the roadway seemed to float on air, supported without visible effort by its gossamer web of steel. Now, with the official opening set for May 24th, all that remained were the finishing touches.
It's the beginning of heroic New York. This is where New York not only rose into the sky for the first time in an intentional way, but it was built to last. It was built to stay, built to be right there at the harbor where everybody was making their entrance from the old world to the new world, standing there for all time to say, we didn't come just to spend a little while. We came here to this new continent, this new world, this new way of life to stay. We mean business. We're here.
5 days before the opening ceremonies, electricians finished installing 70 electric arc lamps along the suspenders. Near midnight, the dynamos were switched on for the first time to test whether the lights were working. Commuters on the last ferries to Brooklyn looked up in astonishment as the majestic bridge shone out of the darkness in the blue and white glow. Whether they knew it or not, they were seeing the future: electricity and steel.
The Brooklyn Bridge marks the beginning of what we might call the vertical city. And it's going to be able to go up. It's going to be more heroic in scale than are the towers of the Brooklyn Bridge because of the element of steel that's in the bridge. Because of the cables. You can't have high-rise buildings without elevators. You can't have elevators without cables of steel. You can't have the grid work. You can't have the skeletal interior of skyscrapers without having steel.
May 24th, 1883, officially renamed the People's Day in honor of the bridge, dawned fair and mild, without a cloud in the sky.
One of, I think, the striking events of that celebration day is the absence of the Irish. It was opened on Queen Victoria's birthday. The Irish saw that as an anti-Irish act, and they didn't attend. And a significant number of the people who built that bridge were Irish working class hacks who didn't make a lot of money and who never got a lot of credit.
By noon, virtually every business in town had shut its doors. As tens of thousands of cheering New Yorkers looked on, President Chester A. Arthur and Governor Grover Cleveland led the grand procession down Broadway and up and over the Great Bridge. They were greeted on the other side by Brooklyn's mayor, Seth Low, and Emily Roebling, standing in for her husband, Washington, who was still too weak to attend. Later, the president and the governor called on the chief engineer at his home in Brooklyn Heights.